How to play bass. Learning how to play the bass guitar is a great way to add a little music and rhythm to your life. Although starting an education in a new instrument may seem daunting, teaching yourself the basics can be easy and rewarding. Method 1. Choosing a bass. 1. Choose the number of strings. Because bass guitars are electric, the body of the guitar can come in nearly any shape or color and still give a great sound. What is important though, is choosing a guitar with the right number of strings for your ability. As a beginner, it is best to start with a classic 4-string bass guitar. The original bass guitar was made with 4 strings, and is considered the most basic. Nearly all bass guitar music can be played on a 4-string guitar, and because the neck is narrower than a 5 or 6-string guitar, it is easier to work your hands around. A 4-string guitar is typically strung with the EADG strings, but if you want, it can be strung like a 5-string guitar with a lower string making it bead instead. 5-string and 6-string guitars are great because they give a greater range of available notes to play. However, they also require more control to reduce the buzzing of other strings and the ability to reach all the notes. 2. Select a scale. The scale of a bass guitar refers to the distance from the nut to the bridge, essentially the length of the guitar strings. A longer scale will have longer string length and produce a deeper sound. A shorter scale may be easier to maneuver for a beginner, but will lack the depth of sound a long scale bass will have. Most bass guitars have a 34-inch scale, but you can also find short scale, 30 or less, medium scale, 30, 33, and extra long scale, 35 or more, bass guitars. Unless your hands are very small or very large, stick with a 34-inch scale for the best sound. If you decide to get a 5-string or 6-string bass guitar, increase the scale for a better sound. Always get a minimum 35-inch scale if you increase the number of strings. 3. Decide on fretted or fretless. A fret is the space sectioned by small metal dividers on the fingerboard of the guitar. Frets mark where different notes on a string can be played, and are found on all guitars. However, if you are buying a bass guitar, you have the option to go fretless. A fretless guitar does not have the metal dividers, and instead has a long, smooth fingerboard. Fretless guitars are more difficult to play because you don't have a visual marker of where certain notes lie. Instead, you have to play the bass by ear. For beginners, it is best to choose a guitar that is fretted to give some guidelines for note and finger placements. Over time, you can choose to move to a fretless guitar for a bigger challenge and a slightly different sound. 4. Choose a material. Bass guitars are made out of many different materials, including different types of hard and soft woods, and composite or synthetic materials. Each substance gives the bass a slightly different appearance and sound. Hard woods, such as hard maple, walnut, ebony, and rosewood, give a percussive sound to your bass. Soft woods, including alder, basswood, and swamp ash, aid in supplying your bass with a softer, warm sound. The most popular synthetic material to make bass guitars out of is graphite, although lithite is another commonly used material. These are all very consistent in sound, as the material doesn't change from guitar to guitar like it does with natural woods. Many bass guitars are made from a mix of materials, especially having the body of one material and the fingerboard of another. This is a good option as well, so don't feel the need to search for a single, material bass only. 5. Find an amp. In order to play bass, you need to have an amp to attach it to so you can hear yourself play. An amp has 3 parts: the power amp, preamp, and speaker cabinet. The easiest way to get all 3 is to buy a combo amp. Although these may lack the louder sound of bigger amps or separate parts, they are the easiest for beginners to use. 6. Decide if you'll play with your fingers or with a pick. Many people recommend you to learn both ways. You'll be a more versatile bassist. Method 2. Playing the bass guitar. 1. Hold the bass correctly. In order to make the best music you can, it is important to have it in the proper position. You should always use a shoulder strap to hold the bass so that when you are playing your hands can focus on make the sounds you want to hear. You can sit or stand up, but make sure that you have good posture in either position. Also, make sure that the shoulder strap holds your bass at the same level regardless of whether you are sitting or standing. The bass should be held somewhere between your hips and collarbones. Most people tend to play with it held near their belly button, but it's all personal preference. The guitar should be held at about a 30-degree angle, so as to prevent the need to uncomfortably angle your wrists so much. 2. Tune your bass. The standard tuning on a 4-string bass guitar is E, A, D, G, with E being the low string and G being the high string. You can learn how to tune your guitar by ear, which is often inexact, or plug your bass into an electric tuner, which is more exact. To make a string go up or go down in pitch, turn the tuning heads, also called tuning machines. 3. Practice your plucking. The bass guitar, unlike other guitars, is only ever plucked rather than strummed. It is important to maintain good plucking practices though, to create the best sounding music. The bass can be picked like a guitar as well, which is a matter of musical preferences. Always keep your nails trimmed short. Your nails will change the sound of the guitar if used against the strings. Pluck using 2 fingers to increase efficiency. Alternate plucking between your index and middle finger. It doesn't matter which you start with, as long as you keep the speed and rhythm between them consistent. Pluck the strings closer to the neck for a flat, warm tone. If you pluck nearer to the bridge at the bottom, the strings will give a more percussive sound. When you practice, keep your plucking isolated to a small area without a lot of movement up and down the strings. Pluck the strings by rolling over them with your fingertips. Don't actually pull on the strings, as they won't create as nice of a sound. If you want to increase the volume, turn up your amplifier, not your plucking strength. 4. Mute the strings that aren't being played. In order to give a clear sound and avoid muffling the notes you play, it is necessary to mute the strings by resting a finger on them. Keep your thumb as close to the E string as you are able, so that whenever you are not playing it, your thumb can rest on it to do the muting. If you have to skip strings to play multiple notes, try using multiple fingers to help with muting. You can choose to move your thumb off the E string to mute other strings if you are playing higher strings. Don't push down hard on the strings, but gently rest your finger or thumb on them to block the vibrations that cause sound. 5. Learn how to play roots. Roots are the main note that a chord is based off of. A chord is playing multiple strings at once, and the root is the note for which the chord is named. Typically, you will start playing the bass simply by focusing on playing the roots to chords. 6. Learn how to play octaves. All music is made up of 12 notes, which can be played in higher or lower versions. The higher or lower version of a single note is called an octave. To play a higher, pitched octave than the note you are currently playing, move 2 strings up and 2 frets up. To play a lower, pitched octave than the note you are currently playing, move 2 strings down and 2 frets down. You can play a lower octave with your index finger and the corresponding higher octave with your ring finger. Use your other fingers to help mute the strings that are not being played. 7. Learn how to play roots and fifths together. Once you understand roots, learn how to play fifths as well. A fifth is the note you play 5 scale tones away from the root. Typically, these are played together, to accompany another player on the guitar or piano. Fortunately, finding your fifths is pretty simple. To play a fifth above, move 2 frets higher on the next string. To play a fifth below, stay on the same fret and move to 1 string lower. 8. Keep rhythm while you practice. The most important job of a good bass player is to keep the rhythm of their music. The bass definitely adds great sound to any piece of music, but the vital task is keeping a good beat. Once you get better at plucking and playing the correct notes, spend time working on keeping rhythm. Listen to the bass performances in some of your favorite songs to hear the ways that they keep rhythm. Buy a metronome to help you practice. Metronomes are small tools that emit a clicking noise at a certain rate, helping you to match the rhythm. You can adjust their speed to practice at a fast or slow pace. 9. Practice on a regular basis. The best advice for anyone learning a new instrument is to practice regularly. Putting in only a few minutes of work each week will make excelling difficult. Giving yourself at least 10-20 minutes of practice a day will not only help your hands to feel comfortable with the bass, but make your music sound clearer and better over time. Method 3. Continuing your education. 1. Start learning tablature. Tablature is a visual guide that will teach you how to play notes of songs if you don't know how to read music. Since many people don't know how to read music, tablature is becoming increasingly popular. 2. Begin to learn scales. As boring as they sound, scales are actually very important in the development of serious musicians. Learning scales will help you practice your fingering, improve your speed and agility, as well as help you to solo, improvise. 3. Try your hand at soloing. A solo is when a musician sets off on their own and plays a musical passage that's distinct, varied, and sometimes improvised. Soloing can be hard, but it's also rewarding. 4. Start composing your own songs. When you get to the point of starting to be bored playing other people's music, it may be time to create your own. Composing your own music takes a lot of time, practice, and false starts, but having your own song is like nothing else in the world. 5. Learn some advanced techniques when you feel you are ready. Some of these techniques include sweep picking, with fingers or with a pick, it's harder with fingers, tapping, tremolo picking, again, harder with hands than with a pick, and slapping, popping. 6. When you feel the need of having 2 or more basses, go for it. If you are at this point, it means that you really like what you are doing. You may be bored with always tuning and detuning your bass, so having 2 or 3 can save you some time. Tips. Listen to songs you like and play along. It's great practice, and you already know how the song goes. Overall interaction with other musicians will help your playing ability. Hitting the bass guitar fretboard with the left hand fingers is very important since it is a major factor that will determine the wholeness of each note. Try to place the fingers such that they are close to the fret on the right. The right hand should also be practiced so as to give bass guitar playing a holistic approach. Study playing the bass guitar by expressing yourselves and elevate the hobby into an art form. Practice, patience, curiosity will bring you all the results you need. Double-check your techniques. Making the proper technique a habit from the start can save you tons of turmoil in the future. Find a good teacher. Remember, a great player doesn't necessarily translate to a good teacher. A good teacher will challenge your abilities and help you to work for the knowledge and understand the instrument. Warnings. At some point you will get frustrated. That is no reason to throw in the towel, though. You will get blisters on your fingertips. Just like in contact sports, keep playing and they will eventually go away. Make sure you hold your instrument correctly. You can get some nasty wrist-hand injuries if you don't. Plus, you have to go back and fix it if you do it wrong.